It's been said that Barcelona are monitoring Hoffenheim striker Fisnik Asllani, who is 23 years old. According to Sport, they have claimed that although Bayern are already negotiating for him, the Kosovan media have reported that Barcelona scouts attended last week's match to watch him play, and he could cost around 25 million euros, and that will be the maximum price. So let's talk about Fisnik, right? Because like I've said, Barcelona are in the market for a brand new striker, and we have talked about multiple strikers over the past 3 weeks. The fact that we're talking about yet again another different striker is mainly because Barcelona are currently scouting. They're looking at the market. They have about 5 to 6 different players that they are considering per position, so this is very normal. Fisnik just so happens to be another player, and if you look at the stats here, you can see that he has been doing very well and just came back from a loan spell, and that is the reason why Hoffenheim have called him back in. It is because in the 2024-2025 season, when he was at Elversberg, he played 37 matches and scored 19 goals and provided 9 assists. This was coming after a horrible loan spell with Austria Wien, where he only scored 5 goals, had 0 assists in 21 matches. But because of that amazing season that he has had last season, Hoffenheim said, okay, we have loaned you out twice. You finally look like you're doing well. Let's call you back in. And now with Hoffenheim, he has played 12 matches, scored 6 goals and provided 3 assists. It's been a long time coming for this striker here because he's not really that young. He is 23 years old. You can say that that's still pretty young, but at the same time, I think that in our perspective, especially for FC Barcelona, this is considered old because usually a player is only considered young when you're under the age of 20 years old. And that's mainly because of La Masia. La Masia love to produce stars at the age of 18, 19, 20 years old. But here we have Fisnik at 23, standing at 6 foot and 3 inches with a very strong frame. It's part of the reason why Barcelona have been eyeing him is because he is exceptional in the air and great in terms of holding the ball to himself and holding up play. And that has translated well towards his goal scoring form, right? Because he is averaging 0.66 to 0.70 goals per 90 minutes. That is top 15 in the league. And he is also outperforming his expected goals, right? His average rate is 5 expected goals versus the 3.3 that he was given. So he is clinical in front of goal, has elite positioning, strong hold up play, great mentality, great defensive pressing as well, an aerial threat on crosses and set pieces. The only weaknesses that Barcelona have been saying is he's not that fast. His acceleration does need some work. His shot accuracy is still also inconsistent. Sometimes he does like blow the ball away and outside of the stadium. His dribbling and his long passes are a little limited, which is very normal because it is always considered limited when you are going to a team like FC Barcelona. Barcelona have a very different lens and they require for their strikers to have exceptional dribbling and long passing abilities, just like Lewandowski has today. So for sure, he is still developing, somebody who can get much better. Many scouts and many journalists have stated that he's a clever number 9 who is very similar to Oliver Giroud or Dzeko. Players who are very dangerous in the box, have a lot of physicalness to beat defenders and big defenders like Van Dijk, for example, or somebody like Araujo. And here's the thing, it's not just about Barcelona being interested in this tall striker here. Fisnik himself has also claimed, and he has publicly stated, that Barcelona is his dream move. And even though he has held talks with Bayern Munich, he would love to join FC Barcelona. So with a low release clause in the summer of 2026, a big transfer could happen for him. Like it could happen whether it's with FC Barcelona or Bayern Munich, but Barcelona do seem like they have the advantage here. So now let's move on towards the next conversation in this video, because since we are talking about strikers, I want to bring in Lewandowski. And there has been this big story that has been published by a Polish author, and he wrote a biography on Lewandowski, and one of the statements that he put in his book really caught the attention of many people. And of course, it had to be like a negative thing towards our club, and I want to explain what's actually going on here. But this is what the Polish author stated in his book, that during the 2022-2023 season, after the league title was officially won, Barcelona did ask Lewandowski to stop scoring goals. Lewandowski was shocked and confused, but later understood that Barcelona would have needed to pay additional bonuses to Bayern Munich for his transfer. Lewandowski did not score in the last 2 matches and ended the league season with 23 goals. So as you guys guys can see, because of this statement coming from the Polish author and not Lewandowski himself nor FC Barcelona, a lot of people in the media started to laugh at Barcelona. They started to say, oh my god, Barcelona is so broke that they even told their striker to stop scoring. How embarrassing is that? Can you imagine telling Lewandowski to stop scoring because you don't want to pay an extra 1 million or 2 million or 3 million to Bayern Munich? And I looked at this and I'm like, okay, does this make sense? Does it make sense that Barcelona could be asking Lewandowski to stop scoring in those last two matches? Because yes, it is true. When you look at those last two matches against Mallorca and against Celta Vigo, Lewandowski did not score. But here's the thing, and this is where I really do question the statement here. If Barcelona truly did not want to see Lewandowski score and they did not want to pay that extra 1 to 5 million euros to Bayern Munich, would you not think that it would make more sense to not even play Lewandowski in the first place? Because then that would actually be like real evidence. That would actually feel like it's true. We could look at that and say, oh yeah, Barcelona did not place Lewandowski in the starting 11 in those last two matches, which was very weird. And now that we're hearing that they would have to pay more money to Bayern, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But here, in the real situation, in the real world, Barcelona placed Lewandowski twice in the starting 11, knowing that if he did score, Barcelona will have to pay extra money to Bayern Munich, which makes me believe that this may not even be true. I think the reason why this Polish author put out a statement like this is because he saw a coincidence, and he knew that if you were to develop a story like this that may not even be true, it would catch the attention towards his book, because at the end of the day, he wanted to sell his book. Lewandowski played in those last two matches, and it would have made a lot more sense if Lewandowski did not play whatsoever. Then I would believe you, because Barcelona could have placed Ferran Torres. Ferran Torres was on the bench, or they could have placed a front three of Rafinha, Ansu Fati, and Dembele. They could have done so many things. They have so many options here, but they still placed Lewandowski. That's how it was for the match against Mallorca. Ansu Fati ended up scoring 2 goals. Lewandowski had an assist, and then in the match against Celta Vigo, where Barcelona lost 2-1, Lewandowski played again with Rafinha, with Ferran Torres. Ansu Fati was on the bench. Dembele was also on the bench, and he could have easily filled a front three with Ansu Fati in the striker position, maybe even move Dembele on the left wing position. You could have done so many things, but Lewandowski still played there in the last game. I don't think that Barcelona are afraid to pay extra add-ons or extra money towards a player's previous club. Like, for example, look what's happening this season. Dani Olmo is a player that we have today, right? We paid 55 million euros for the player. Do you guys know that there is a 7 million euro add-on attached to his contract? That 7 million euro in variables or add-ons, whatever you want to call it, is money that Barcelona may have to pay in the future. That is going to be depending on individual accolades, like if he wins the Ballon d'Or or if he wins a lot of major collective titles, which he did in the 2024-2025 season. And if he does achieve exceptional personal performances, Barcelona will still have to pay him even more within that 7 million. Barcelona are not afraid. They played Dani Olmo multiple times last season, and they continue to play Dani Olmo multiple times in this season, which higher the chances of Barcelona paying the total 7 million euros. Now look at this scenario, right? The fact that Barcelona have the potential to pay a total of 7 million euros extra to RB Leipzig. If I was a journalist and I was like this Polish journalist here, and I wanted to act like him, and I wanted to create a story, and I had a book to sell tomorrow, you know what I would say? I would just say Barcelona played Fermín López over Dani Olmo multiple times this season, and that is because Barcelona want to avoid the 7 million euros total to pay to RB Leipzig. You see how easy that was for me to create such a story? And you and me know that that is not true. You and me know that what's true is Fermín López has simply just been better than Dani Olmo. Fermín López is much more explosive. He can score goals, he can provide assists, but I can easily make a story today or tomorrow and just say Barcelona are playing Fermín López over Dani Olmo because they want to avoid the 7 million euros extra, even though Barcelona paid 65 million euros or 55 million euros on Dani Olmo. I could have just said that. I could have just said they're playing Fermín López over a player that cost 60 million euros. Barcelona have bad management. Barcelona don't know how to handle their big stars. Barcelona want to avoid the 7 million euros. No, it is simply because Olmo has under-delivered, and you and me know this because we see Barcelona every weekend. Barcelona have tried with Olmo over and over again this season. They placed him against Real Sociedad. They placed him against PSG. They placed him against Club Brugge. They placed him against Celta Vigo previously. And in those matches, he has under-delivered. And let's just say that this is true. Let's just assume and play it stupid that all of this is true. That yeah, Lewandowski was told by Barcelona that he should not score in the last two matches. Let's just assume, and let's give these people the advantage. Do you guys know that Barcelona would not be the only club trying to avoid these bonuses? Liverpool and Darwin Núñez is another example. It states here that Liverpool owed Benfica extra money every time Núñez reached certain appearances per season. In 2025, he was benched multiple times, starring only on one of the final 10 matches before being sold. This did help Liverpool avoid avoid paying up to the 20 million euros in bonuses. This is the reason why Darwin Núñez is playing at Al Hilal and why he did not play a lot in those final 10 matches. Liverpool were trying to avoid certain appearances and pay the total 20 million euros. Nobody talks about that. Nobody wants to talk about that, but as soon as Barcelona bring up a scenario like this, the whole world wants to talk about it. They want to exploit it. They want to damage the club. They want to make fun of the club. They want to mock the club, even though, like I've said, assuming that this is true. But this is very common in the world of football. And what's even more embarrassing is that Liverpool are within a league where they tell them you can spend as much as you want, and they still choose to not pay the full 20 million euros, yet you want to make fun of a team like FC Barcelona that are under restrictions. Tell me who's the dumb one here. We can also talk about Arsenal and Alex Oxlade, whatever his name is, right? Arsenal would pay Southampton 10,000 euros each time he played 20 plus minutes. And that is why we saw Wenger often bringing him in after the 70th minute to avoid activating those payments too often and keeping the total cost lower. And so be careful, guys, on who you guys listen to, who's publishing these stories. What does it mean? Is it true? Always do your study and then you know the truth. But bravo, right? Bravo to the polished author. Bravo to him making this smart move to maybe get more eyeballs on his book. I'm happy for you, bro. Like, congratulations. I'm happy that you also released this book on Lewandowski, and hopefully you find a lot of success. But that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.